Thanks for tuning in to Fully Erect. We had a great show tonight with Robin and Trace Arnold. They own Hilltop Storage and many other things. That's why I want you to get into this and watch this podcast. We need you to watch it. It's spectacular. We got into marriage, relationships, taking an RV all over the country, and much more. We hope you'll tune in and hope you enjoy this episode. Did he touch your
nipples?
You asked me. We're going there.
Bless your heart.
Welcome. I want to thank you all with immense gratitude for spending time with me. This is a podcast where we dive deep into the real, raw, and often taboo conversations about culture, relationships, and intimacy. We keep it honest, insightful, and full of humor, creating a space where nothing is off limits. Think of it as your late night conversations with your posse. At its core, the Fully Erect Podcast is about empowerment, giving people the confidence to own their desires, communicate openly in their relationships, and break free from outdated stigmas. So join me. We're breaking barriers and breaking stereotypes. Thank you guys for coming on. This has been great because I think y'all canceled a couple times, and I would have too if I were y'all not wanting to come on. I'm kidding.
We didn't cancel.
No, we got busy.
Yes.
I think both of us got busy, and I'm glad you're finally on. I did?
Yeah.
No, it was just a series of rearrange. That
So
was
it's
all it
called
was.
rearrangement.
Well, yeah, we just rearranged.
Well, this is Trace and Robin Arnold, and I've known Robin you for a while, right? Like Pelly, my friend Pelly,
Yep.
right here, this one.
Oh, and I know her.
She is good friends with Robin, and she and I got to talk, and she's like, "Oh, you need to have Robin and Trace on." And I'm like, at the same time, and she's like, that was the first thing I said because I'm like, well, they both have big personalities, and I didn't realize, Trace, you're not as big a talker as Robin, are you?
I'll let her have it.
You do?
Oh, well, I'm gonna agree and disagree. I think it depends.
Yeah.
What you're talking about, they're both great storytellers and very interesting storytellers.
Right.
So it just depends on what you're asking, I think.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah.
So what do you want to know?
So exactly, where are you getting with that?
Well, my first request was to tell the story about, because I always think it's interesting with couples. How did you meet?
Oh yeah, she
So I
did
think
want
you
to
have a good
ask that.
story.
And she said the story's great.
It's funny.
So tell us.
Okay, you
I
wanna
probably
get
need to tell
Welcome to Fully Erect. Oh yeah, you tell
Hang on
us.
a second. There's your version and there's my version. So
Yeah.
yeah, you
Okay.
tell yours. You go tell yours. Go.
What's the difference?
I don't know yet.
You're gonna see. You're gonna see. Tell us.
So, these friends of mine, Anita Miller and Sherry Duncan. At the time, was Brunson. Now she's gone, but they're friends of mine, and Anita had a dress store in Southlake on 114. It was this little house sitting on the corner, and I can't believe it made it through all expansion of 114. It did. It's still sitting there. Now it's a schoolhouse rock. But anyway, this girl had been cutting my hair since I was like 18, and she was younger when she started, and she went to North Texas, and she was in Roanoke at Illusions, and then she went to South Grapevine, and then she ended up, Anita had one room in the back of her dress shop, just a small, like a closet really, and Holly I think she had a baby is what she came back after her first baby, and she was cutting hair, and so I would go in this dress shop, Anita and Sherry had kept telling me, this girl's working for Anita, you gotta meet her, I'm like, yeah. I'd just come out of a relationship that was, I don't know, a couple years, and that gal wanted to get married, and I just kept buying some time,
Yeah.
and I just, the clock ran out.
How old were you?
It's 29, 28?
We're probably
27, 28.
You weren't ready. Yeah.
She wasn't the
She
one.
wasn't the one.
Yeah.
She wasn't the one. And my grandmother and I were really close, and all those years, she would always ask me, she goes, Trace, when you going to settle down and get married? I said, well, I hadn't met the right one, and then one of them come close to you yet, Nina. And she says, she said, just know that when you do, when you meet the right one, you'll know it. I said, yeah, whatever. I'm 27.
He's not like that. I don't care.
27 going
Not
on
100%
12.
sure where she is.
Yeah, I'm
but-
27 though. I mean, I
Is she in jail?
Frontal lobe had to
kind
be
of run the
closed.
gamut, you know what I mean?
Yep. Yep.
And so anyway, one day I was walking through there, from the front through the store to the back, and I caught her out of the corner of my eye. I thought, damn, that must have been talking about. So I just went on. I got my hair cut, and I came out, and I thought, well, let's go approach her. So I approached the counter, and she's sitting there with a starched collar, a white shirt, and she had a look. It was kind of, I call it the flight attendant look. And,
She was a flight one.
she was flight attendant, and
Dress like one, act
so we
like
started
one.
talking.
one.
We started talking and just throwing bars back and forth and laughing and chuckling. And I said, I looked at her, she had a ring on her finger. I said, are you married or are you engaged to be married? She goes, I said, it doesn't sound like you're too sure what you are.
You said it just like that?
Huh?
Exactly like that.
It's not, you don't sound like you're too sure what you are. I said, tell you what, why don't we go to dinner and we'll just eat and we'll talk. And after dinner, because you're on the fence, sounds like. I said, by the time dinner's over, I said, I can guarantee you one or two things are going to happen. You're either going to climb on over to the other side or you're going to hop off. I can't go to dinner with you. I'm engaged. I said, I didn't ask you to marry me. I said, do you eat?
Do you eat?
Do you eat? She goes, I do. And I said, well, what do you think? She said, okay. So we went to dinner at Outback Steakhouse in Grapevine,
It's
Texas.
the Outback special.
Yeah, we had the Outback special. And we were there a couple hours probably and having dinner and talking. And so I asked her, I said, so tell me about this man you're engaged to. What's the deal? I mean, why were you so off kilter when I asked you the question? I said, tell me what it looks like. What's the scenario?
That's awesome.
She said, I live here in Dallas. I'm a flight attendant. And I have an apartment, and my car's paid for, everything I have is paid for, and I fly in and out. And I'm going to sell my car, move to Seattle, because that's where he was stationed in the Navy. Going to move to Seattle or Washington, somewhere.
Okay.
And I'm going to buy him a truck, and I'm going to commute back to Dallas to do my job. And I looked there and I went, what do you get?
Wait. You said, hold on now. You're going to leave your family and leave your friends, and you're going to do all this flying back and forth. What are you going to get? And I went,
She looked at me and goes, married?
She did not.
Yeah.
and he laughed
Oh, I had
so
belly.
loud.
I just fell out of my chair
He
back.
was like, that sounds like a great idea. You should do it.
Yeah. You should go and punch through that wall. Now, know that I felt like I had made a little impact in our conversation and dinner.
Yeah.
And I didn't know if it'd be a week or month or 2 months. But
So you that was it. You went to dinner and then she
Yeah.
went up. Okay.
He dropped me back off at the house.
yeah, and I didn't know if it'd be a week or a month, but whatever. I gave him my best shot.
He gets his hair cut every 3 weeks at this time, so he knew he was going to see me.
Yeah.
Because you were doing this job part time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
To
part-time.
save the money so you could give all your money when
No.
you sold all your stuff to this
No.
guy.
She
no,
had
no.
a shopping habit,
I had a
clothes
pro-
habit, and she got in
There's
debt
that.
with Anita. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
But
she bought
got
clothes
clothes.
there.
That's,
No,
I
she
didn't
buy
even get
anything.
paid. I
She
would
never
never
got
get paid. I
paid.
just took. I
She
took
never got a
clothes.
paycheck.
Okay, that's why you
She
worked
never
there.
got a
Okay, there's a
paycheck, yeah.
reason. Okay.
Yeah. And so I thought it might be a week, month, 2 months, whatever. You know, I gave it a good shot. I had no idea that she was going to get in the car, and on their way back to her apartment, she picked up the phone and she called him, and she killed it right then. It was over. I mean, 30 minutes after she left me.
Yeah.
And the next call I'm getting from her,
Was how long after that?
oh, it's the next day.
The
Oh, next day.
Next day, she's telling me that he's crying like a baby, and he's getting on an airplane, and he's coming back, and she's got to pick him up at the airport, and she's got to drive him to East Texas. And I'm like, how does that factor? I mean, if you killed it, why are you responsible? I don't know. She says what she did. He flew into Dallas, DFW. She picked him up, drove him 3 hours to East Texas with him whining and crying the whole way.
What was he going to East
You
Texas
can pick it
for?
up here. I wasn't with you.
Well, I mean,
That's where
he
he's from.
was,
You can pick
he
it up
was
from here, I wouldn't-
coming to see me, but I was not having that. I'm like, no. So
No, it's Thanksgiving.
taking, okay, so taking
was
him on down
it was-
to what are your family?
Yeah, this was like a week before
No,
Thanksgiving.
hell
We
no!
had
I
dinner.
turned around and drove right straight back to his house.
His
and
fam-
never left.
He's from Henderson.
Oh, so
his
he's
family's
okay.
from Henderson.
Okay, I don't.
And her mother used to date his dad.
Oh, nice.
And so that was
So my mom was super hanging on that and hated him. For the first 5 years we were married, she hated him.
At least 10 or 20.
At least. I mean, she barely likes
She
you
still
now.
don't really like me. But she tolerates
She does.
I'm kind of confused though. What was it that caught you? Like, I mean, am I the only one that wants to know that? Like,
No,
what
I mean,
was
I
it that
think
you were
that
like?
what
Was it
caught me
him
was
saying?
Him saying you're gonna leave your friends, leave your family, get rid of everything you own, and you're gonna move out there so that you can haul yourself back here to work while he's deployed. He's not even gonna be living there with you. And tell me what you get out of this. And I was like, oh, married. Oh, this is a terrible deal.
This is a terrible idea.
She was checking a box.
I think I
at
was.
that age in her
Yeah, you
life,
do, and
she
that's-
was checking a box. I mean, he may have been into it, whatever. But she was just checking the box. She felt like she needed to be married at that time. But
Well, the reality is I had dated him for a while, and that had been a topic that had gone back and forth. I wanted to get married, then he didn't, and then he wanted to get married, then I didn't, and then I lost my dad. And once I lost my dad, I locked down on that relationship and said, you know what? I don't want to lose anything else. So I hadn't met him yet, so this was good enough. I mean, he's a great guy, but he had some things that bothered me.
let's
Like,
hear the best one.
Well, wait. How long had y'all been dating?
5 years.
no,
They'd known each other forever.
Two. Okay.
Well,
But
so
I
he
mean,
had
you
played-
met Trace and you thought, oh, he's cool as shit.
He was something I'd never seen before. I didn't quite understand what I was getting into, but I just knew that he was a lot of fun and he made me feel safe, which was a big thing to me. And he reminded me a lot of my dad. The vibe, the work ethic,
Daddy issues.
Daddy issues.
Yeah, baby.
We all got them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I know.
I think they
Yeah.
come standard now, don't they?
It just depends on how
Depends if
where
they are.
rank. Yeah.
Yes.
No,
Well,
longer.
okay, you with your mommy issues, whatever.
Yeah.
You got those.
Oh, so we all have issues.
Yeah,
That's why y'all
We're
came
all
on the
subscribing.
podcast so we can all talk about
Yeah.
our issues.
So I would like. So when you ask about
That's
the
funny.
name of the podcast, Fully Erect, what we would call that is a fully erect moment, that you want to live in your life fully erect, that you don't go blindly into these choices.
And that is
to have
exactly
that
what I felt like I was doing.
awareness is so amazing.
That is what
What
I
if
felt
you
like I
lived in
was doing.
Seattle and we never met? God,
That would have been
look where you'd be
terrible.
living right now. Ugh.
That would have been terrible. Horrible. I would be living
Well-
in Florida, and I don't want to go there.
Was it blissful? I mean, has it always been blissful? I'm kidding.
Our marriage?
Yeah.
No. Of course it
Yeah.
has.
It's just a walk in
It
the
has
park.
been.
Oh, yeah.
It has been a battle.
Easy peasy.
Yeah.
But if it had been easy, it might have been boring. But it has not been easy.
Are y'all similar?
No.
Like, what's the difference? I think there's something to be said about people that
I
are
tell
not.
everybody in our relationship, he's the sail, but I'm the anchor. I mean, he's got ideas coming out the wazoo every day. Let's do this. Let's do that. What about this? What about that?
So
And
he's
I'm just like,
creative, very highly
and
creative.
I'm just like, hey, let's talk about this for a second. Like, hey, we have 2 kids. We have a marriage. I was very busy trying to keep him grounded, and I just eventually said, you know what, let's just tie a string on him and let him go. Just hold the string. That's what we do.
Get a balloon on there.
That's
Hey.
funny.
That's who we are. I mean, he's always got ideas. He's always thinking of something. The 3 words that scare the living hell out of me, like cold chills down my spine.
Sorry about the fly.
I've been thinking.
And
I don't want you to do that.
Yeah.
Because it's usually like one of the things
I
that
have
the biggest.
1,000 ideas a day,
Yes.
but generally 999 of them are worth of shit.
What does your day look
So
like?
you-
What time do you get
Tell me
up?
all.
So you have to sift through that.
He's got to talk to somebody. He's got to
1,000
talk to
he
somebody.
tells me all of them.
I got to rattle them off and kind of find that one that's worthy.
No, I'm an idea girl. I get your brain, where you're just constantly have stuff you're thinking. Yeah, and Steven's my husband's more of the. Oh
Oh, thank you.
God, here she goes.
That's why
and
I
I mean it, and my brother's the same way. I'm sure his wife's the same way. Like, Marty's in his ideas, but yeah. So I get your brain totally. Tell me about the first business that you did that was like a really wild idea, but like you learned from it. Maybe you didn't do well. Maybe you did do well. But I mean, people love stories about entrepreneurs. Period. Right? Have you always been an entrepreneur?
Yeah.
Yeah. So what's been your best story of like coming home and saying, this is what I'm going to do?
Oh.
Well, it had to be the smoker, but you kind of got to back up a little bit to understand the smoker. My mother started a dude ranch when I was 10 years old.
Yeah, tell me about her. What's her name again?
Texas Lil.
Texas Lil.
Lil Arnold.
Okay.
And she started when I was 10. We lived in Arlington, Texas.
Okay.
And we just went through the traffic circle down here.
Yeah.
My
Cussed
uncle
everybody.
had a bar on the traffic circle called the Rhinestone Cowboy.
No kidding.
Her brother. His name
So that's on that little traffic circle
Yeah.
there's Magnolia there now. Okay,
it's
cool.
Called the Is there Magnolia?
There's a Magnolia Motor Lounge one over here. So now they're playing
Yeah, it was
live
called
music.
Rhinestone Cowboy, and that's
That's
about
a great name.
1975.
Okay.
So it was a hopping little place, and he had been through a divorce. He lived down in Clifton, Texas, Meridian, Texas, where my grandparents were. And he had moved back up here, and he started dating this lady named Priscilla. Mm-hmm. And
There's not very many Priscillas, I'm pretty sure.
but he was
Cool.
In the
living.
70s.
He was
cool.
living with us
Yeah.
in our apartment in Arlington. That's where his boots were. That's where his hats were. That's where he came to home. That was home for a while. And then his stuff just started going away.
Disappearing.
Shirts and hats, and then
Really?
Yeah.
From your mom's house.
Yeah,
Okay.
where we
was-
lived in
Yeah.
Arlington.
Moving in.
And he had Rhinestone Cowboy.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the coolest name. Okay.
And so he started dating Priscilla, and so he ended up moving in with her in the Cullen Davis mansion on Hewlett.
And we all know what happened after
Okay, so because
Not everybody-
this is
that might not be a
fascinating,
different
really.
podcast.
It's
Oh, okay,
fascinating.
sure.
So the Cullen Davis mansion was when Priscilla was separated from her husband, and your uncle was dating her. Am I getting this
And-
correct?
and
And
lived
living in the mansion
in,
Correct.
where.
Priscilla lived.
Mm-hmm.
with
Okay,
her-
so which-
with her daughter Dee and her older daughter Dee and her younger daughter Andrea.
Okay.
Different fathers, all of them, Dee and Andrea,
So then what happened? How long did he live there before?
till he died.
Okay.
Well, that's terrible.
Okay,
But, I mean,
you didn't tell. I mean,
short
there's a
timing.
story in this. I mean,
Yeah. So they'd come home from the bar.
Okay, the Rhinestone Cowboy.
Yep. One night they'd come home. It was late. It was 1 or 2 in the morning, whatever it is. And Dee had a friend living there. What was her name? Beverly Bass.
Uh-huh.
And Dee had her friend living there, and she'd been out on a date with her boyfriend at the time, which was Bubba Gabriel.
Bubba Gabriel.
Bubba Gabriel.
I know them. I mean,
Yeah, oh.
So
Yeah,
I guess
Yeah.
Priscilla and Stan came home first. Now in this mansion, you think about it, it's $6.6 million in 1975, and so that's probably equivalent to $60 million house today.
Yeah.
I mean the ceilings were, the doors were
Gold?
16 feet tall.
how big was this mansion?
It was 6.6. I think 20,000 square feet. I think that's
It's
a
huge.
Huge.
It's not in there anymore, though.
I mean, they had
yeah.
a chest
No,
set.
I know.
They had a chest set worth $250,000, and it had gold pieces on it. And if you picked one up, the alarm goes off. This whole house was computerized and alarmed and TV.
Just nothing like.
No, I had never seen anything like that. And so anyway, they came home from the bar.
Was she divorced from Cullen?
No,
No,
they were trying. She was trying to get a divorce, but.
Takes a long time when you have a lot of assets.
and they kept kicking
Yeah.
the can down the road.
And
And
Yeah.
that was part of the reason that it all went down is because the divorce attorney had awarded her, I think, 20, was it was a lot. It was
20 million?
20,000 a month.
Oh, 20. Back then, 20,000
back
a
then.
month.
That's a lot.
Yeah, it was
That's a lot
That's
of
like getting $1
lot.
million.
And I think that really that set him on his heels. Anyway, they'd come home and Stan had gone upstairs. And when I say upstairs, it's not a set of stairs; it's like 2 sets of stairs. If there's 12 steps in a normal staircase, there's 24 in this one. And so with the 16, 18-foot doors, and I'm not kidding, they're tall. And he'd been upstairs and she was in the kitchen and she saw blood on the wall. And she screamed, and when she screamed, he came Stan coming down the stairs, and Cullen turns out behind a corner with a wig on and a gun, and he shoots Priscilla. And the bullet was like a 16th of an inch from her heart. And she she screams, "Stan, don't come. It's Cullen. He has a gun." And Stan is coming down the stairs. So we're in the kitchen here. The stairway's right there, and he starts coming down. 6'10", this man is.
Your uncle?
Yes.
Is that where you get your height?
Yeah,
that-
that
but he's
side
the
of
runt.
I'm the runt. I'm the runt in the family.
Oh,
Everybody else is 6'6", 6'7", 6'8", 6'9". I'm the runt, 6'4".
you're 6'4".
Yeah, my son's 6'5". True.
Yeah. Oh, Trooper's big. Yeah.
And so when he comes, she said, "Don't come. It's Cullen. He has a gun." She verbalized that out loud. And the door, Stan's coming down the stairs, and Cullen is standing there with a gun, and Stan kicks the door closed with his foot. Big door. And Cullen just bam, 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 fires through the door.
Through the door.
Through the door. And hits him like 5 times. And there was one of them that was clutch that took him out. Meanwhile, she's running. This house had 4 tunnels: east, west, north, and south. And they were underground tunnels.
Gosh, they had that prepped
Yeah.
for what we
Armageddon.
need to be
Yeah.
having prepped now.
Yeah.
Yeah, underground
Kidnapping
tunnels.
and
Everything.
Yeah.
And so
Was there some underground stuff going on, do you think?
No.
Okay.
It was just all the plumbing was
Okay.
running through the tunnels.
Okay.
So you could see the water and all the. We used to play hide and seek in the tunnels. And because there's.
I mean, how long was he with her that you went over there that much?
A couple 3 years.
Oh, okay.
My sister was supposed to be there that night. She was on the phone with Andrea till about 11 o'clock. And my mother had a migraine. She said, "No, I'm not taking you. I'll take you tomorrow." And so my sister stayed on the phone with her till probably 11 o'clock at night. She was the last person to speak to her. And Andrea was 12 at the time.
And Andre died?
Yeah, he killed her first. She was the only one in the house. Killed her first and drug her down one of the tunnels. Because he had come in one of the tunnels. And so he killed her. That's where the blood was, in the kitchen.
That's where she saw the blood.
That Priscilla saw the blood. And so she runs, I think it's 1.5 miles to the neighborhood with a bullet, a 16th inch from her heart.
But back then, was it a neighborhood? Was there houses? Because it was the mansion like on the
Oh,
It's
yeah,
kind of by
no.
itself.
Kind of on by itself.
No,
She had
no.
her built or something.
On
outside
acreage.
those-
Yeah, no, it was a big, this is like, say, 100 acres. And the house is right in the middle. The neighborhood's over here. Hewlin's right here. So the houses, this was a neighborhood. There were some houses back here. But it was 1.5 miles from where she'd run.
Running.
With the bullet, a 16th an inch from her heart. And so after she'd shot Stan, Beverly had come home with Gus, Bubba, Gus Gabriel.
Oh.
and they lived there?
She did.
Beverly
lived there. And Bubba was bringing her home.
Because okay.
They've been on a date.
And
And she was friends with Priscilla, Beverly?
Dee, her daughter.
Her older daughter,
She was
Dee.
her older daughter Dee's best friend. And she
Gotcha.
was living with Dee. And
Wow.
so
And
they're-
Stan is at this point
he's dead.
Dad.
And they pull up in the driveway from, if that was east, the west. That's off of Hewlin is the west, and they're coming in that way. And it's Cullen. She identifies it's Cullen. And Bubba, they all saw it was Cullen. They knew it was Cullen. And Cullen shoots Bubba, and that's what paralyzed him. She took off the other direction to Hewlin, and she's flagging down cars in Hewlin, on Hewlin Street, saying, "It's Cullen. He's at the house. He's got a gun. He's killing everybody." And so 2 different witnesses. One went east, one went west. All in a matter of an hour, probably, or 2. And so that's how that ended. How did we get there?
Smoker?
Yeah, I was like,
Oh.
and what was your most difficult?
Well, the ranch. My
No,
mother-
because we're talking about the mom on the
Well,
dude
the mom.
ranch,
Yeah, my
and then
mother-
and
my mother
Stan
had-
obviously was with her on the dude ranch.
No.
No.
Okay, no.
No, but
after that,
we
they went
moved
out
to
there.
Arlington. That was I remember it was the year. It was 77, August 77.
And your uncle was how old when he passed away?
If I had to guess, about 38.
Okay.
Oh,
Because I just realized my mother was 40 when the ranch started ranch.
Wow.
good gosh, that really.
And
That
the
can't be
guy gets
right.
off. You guys know he murdered him.
Oh yeah, it was
I mean,
70
they never prove it. I think there's a civil case that proved it. Or actually, let's just say a civil case that awarded money to his children, but they've never
39.
seen any of that.
He's still alive though, right?
Who?
Cullen.
Yes.
Yeah.
That story goes on, and I just gift that keeps on giving.
It's the gift that keeps on giving. And
So-
there's no, and your mom, I mean, I guess the bitterness finally goes away. How's that work? I mean,
Well, she remained friendly with Priscilla until her death.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, but I mean, the bitterness, it destroyed a lot of people. My grandparents, it was too much. He had a wife and 2 children.
oh, did he?
My cousins, yeah. And so they grew up their entire lives without a dad.
And sadly,
And knowing that he was killed and,
Yeah.
and all this.
So he was never convicted for that murder.
no, never convicted for that murder,
No, he was actually acquitted.
acquitted for it,
Quit it.
and found not guilty for trying to solicit the murder
What
of a
about
judge.
the kid he killed? His child? Nothing?
Well, he
That's not
spent
his
a lot of
child.
money.
Yeah.
At the time, he was at the peak of his heyday in the oil business in the 70s. He was probably, if I had to put it in today's terms, he's probably not Bill Gates rich, but right there. You know,
I mean, he was
a billionaire.
oil man
Yeah.
rich.
He was an
in the
old man.
70s.
But his
That
whole
was a
family
lot of
they were
money.
old man. But yeah, and so the trial got moved from Fort Worth to Amarillo.
Yep.
And in Amarillo, he had a color TV in his cell, 2 recliners, and so he had it going
Had
on
food
out
ordered
there.
in all the time.
And yeah, he lived like a king out there.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, Richard Racer Haynes was his attorney, and they just it was very tumultuous. That could be a show in itself. We could keep.
We could do a movie on it.
Yeah,
They could be better a series, or you
Well,
think
I
it'd be
think
better a
There's
movie?
already been
There were
movies. There's been
several
movies.
movies.
Well, there's been
done
some
about it.
documentaries,
Your brother
right?
asked
More?
me about it, and
Yeah,
Heather
my-
Locklear played Priscilla in her television series. That was like
Blood Will Tell or Get Rich or what was it?
something like that.
One was Blood Will Tell. Yeah, my mother was friends with Mike Cochran. He was in the court, and he well, so that went on for years, and so yeah, he pretty much just bought his way out and paid
Yeah.
the jurors. I mean,
Just
it
like
was-
O.J. Simpson, right?
Yeah, same.
Okay.
Same,
Yeah,
same
money
kind of
talks.
thing.
So anyway,
And then when he got out of there, and when he got all that done, he wanted to go after his divorce attorney. He wanted to kill him, and he paid another guy named, what was his name?
hey, none of that's our story. Just,
Okay,
I mean, let's
yeah.
go to.
So
Lord,
do
that's
it.
what I
But I
like.
do think that's a whole other podcast.
It is a
That's
whole
what I
other
said,
podcast,
it's a whole-
but I mean,
I think it's so interesting, these infamous Texas stories that are so famous. These boys probably have no idea what we're talking about.
They probably don't even know
But
who
they're-
Cullen Davis is,
Google
or
it.
the mansion in Fort Worth.
Yeah, and
No.
it's
No way.
fascinating. And your
But when
mother
they
is
go
a
home
character in and of
tonight,
herself.
and they
They
Google
will
that, and
do
they'll be
it,
like,
and
"Holy
they're going to be like,
Antonito."
"Wow, this guy's tied
Yeah.
to that."
Yeah.
So his
So
mother
she
started
started
to
the ranch. She started the ranch.
Was that? Do you think just to get away from everything? Or?
No, she had a company in Fort Worth called the Fun Factory, and
Okay.
she did carnival parties at schools and churches, and
Companies.
that was her summer business. In the winter, she decorated banks and she had a country Christmas store. She decorated banks and hospitals all through Fort Worth. And when she found this place, it was called the Hillview Stock Farm. And this man had started it when he retired at 65. He's Church of Christ, very religious. And he asked her, my grandfather actually saw it in the paper. And so they went out to meet with him, and she said, he asked her, he said, well, ma'am, would you sell alcohol? And she said, well, if my customers want it. He said, well, I don't want to sell it to you. And she said, well, here's my card. Call me if you ever do. So it was a year later when he called, and he'd leased it to a place, and the guy was not feeding the horses. The pool was green. And it was just like it was a kids camp, church camp is what it was. And wasn't taking care of anything, and so we wanted to get him removed. And so my mother, seeing the opportunity that she could potentially have her own ranch, found a lawyer in Denton, and they took him to court, and it was about 90 days, and boom, he was out. And so we moved in August of '77. So we did corporate parties, company picnics for companies like American Airlines, Boeing Electronics, Mobile Oil. We had 1,000 people every Saturday and Sunday, April through October. September, October, we have 10,000, 15,000. So
Wow.
we needed more smokers just for that 2 months. And I heard my thinking goes, I said, let's build a smoker. I don't really live in a box. I said, let's build it as big as we possibly can to be legal in Texas. And at the time, it's 57 feet 7 inches was the length of it. They would do 7,000 pounds of brisket.
And you were doing this at the Dude Ranch.
Yeah, built the smoker. It was
The smoker was built to supplement.
It was my side hustle from the ranch.
From working at the ranch.
At the ranch, yeah.
Okay.
And I was going to use it that 2 months there, and then I was going to let it promote the ranch the other 10 months. But it cost so much money to build. I need to pay it off. I need to bring that price down to make it functional. So I got a job for 2 years with Food Line Tyson Chicken, and then 2 years with Johnson & Johnson, Merck. How do you want to go on? You're asking about
How does that work though? Yeah, people, I think that's interesting. How does that work? You got them, you just started calling them and asking them to back you in that?
Yeah.
Because people want to know that. I mean,
I
it's
found a
interesting.
lady with a marketing company / and she's an attorney.
Okay.
And out of New York, and she got us the deal with Tyson Chicken and Food Line.
Okay.
And it was between Memorial Day and Labor Day, and we would do 100 stops in every city that had a AAA baseball team. And Food Line, Tyson Chicken provided a quarter of chicken. We did a soft drink and a chip that was in that marketplace. And so that went on for a couple of years, and it probably would have been going on for a long time, 5, 6, 7 years. Food Line loved it, and Tyson Chicken loved it. And they'd come to me and they said, we really like this program. I said, we'll continue to do it. We'll sign a multi-year contract with you if we could get a price that was affordable, that we could all come to agreement on. I said, well, throw a number at me. And they said, we feel like we could do it for about $750,000. And I was like, first year I started, it was $2,500 a stop. 100 stops is $250,000 and $1 a mile. I didn't make any money the first year.
Okay.
The second year I went to $3,500 a stop and $2 a mile. I didn't get rich, but I didn't.
You're making a good living.
I just made a little money.
And how old were you?
Was this before you met Robin?
No, we're married, and
It was 97.
yeah, so
we got married in 96.
So you're
Okay.
we're married.
So you're
And you're on the road with him?
No,
No,
we
not
stayed-
yet.
I was at the ranch.
You're still airline?
I brought in a guy. I hired a guy that brought him as a partner, and I made him a partner, a percentage partner, and he managed it on the road. So I really didn't have to do. I didn't have to go out on the road.
Okay.
And because I was running the ranch, and so when they said 750,000, I just said 100 stops at 3,500 is 350,000. $2 a mile, another 20 grand. So I was making $370,000, and they wanted to do it for 750. That lawyer, that woman that put this deal together for me, had triple keystoned it. She was charging them $1.2 million, and paying us $370,000. So I was like,
damn attorneys.
yeah. So I was not at a place to go to court with an attorney out of New York.
Oh, sorry, get that fly.
Out of New York. And so we just had to. I had to tell him. I said, I had to agree to disagree. Maybe we can meet down the road somewhere. So we got a deal. I found another person that got me with Johnson & Johnson Merck. Remember when Pepcid AC was a prescription?
Yeah.
That's a heartburn.
Pepcid. Oh, Pepcid AC. Yeah.
Pepcid
I just
AC.
never used it, but yeah, I know it. Yeah.
Pepcid AC. So you had to go to the doctor, and we don't think like that. But anyway, the first year we went to fairs and festivals of 50,000 plus people. We give them a piece of jalapeno cheese sausage and a Pepsi.
And a Pepsi.
And a Pepsi.
Take this before.
The first year that we were doing that, the year, they were formulating Pepsi Complete, which is what everybody's probably familiar with now because it's over the counter.
Yeah.
Like Rolex,
Yeah.
Tums.
Yeah.
And they wanted to buy me out of the second year of the contract, but they had something they wanted me to do. And I said, well, what's
Sorry.
that? And they said, well, we're going to take Pepsi Complete public, and we want you to come to the New York Stock Exchange, and we want to feed 10,000+ people something spicy. And that's where I met Grady for the first time. He'd been on some big book tour, and his publicist reached out to us and planted him in New York City with us. I did not know him at the time, and planted him there to promote his book.
Yeah.
And he just got to kind of fall through the whole deal and roll with us. But we fed 13,000 people. Spicy wings, jalapeno cheese sausage, I mean, just name it. And so that gave me enough money to get it paid off. And
Okay.
it sat at the ranch, and it was idle. After 9/11, what happened to the ranch was after 9/11, the first week, we had $500,000 in cancellations, and that didn't change for a year. I worked for 1 year with no pay, no money. I had a wife, a house, a kid, and one on the way. And so I had to make the hardest decision of my life, and that was to leave. I had to do something for my family. I knew what I had with the smoker was a good idea, but not everybody had a need for 7,000 pounds. Like when the Texas Motor Speedway opened up, we did 35,000 pounds of brisket, smoked, sliced, pan delivered. And so what I realized, not everybody had a need for that. We went to Grand Fork, North Dakota, same year in the flood. They had up there, we fed 7,000 people. a hot meal. And I knew what I had was a good idea, but not everybody had needs that much. So I said, if I could get it where I could fire it up within 30 minutes, I'd have it going on. So I welded all 10 doors closed, cut it in half again.
Cut the RV, cut
the smoker.
The smoker.
Made the back go up and down hydraulic cylinders. I built a grill in there. It was 5 feet across, 10 feet wide. It would do 1,000 hot
It's
dogs,
something to
500
see.
hamburgers,
Is it a special?
260 ounce ribeyes at one time.
Yeah.
And so that was the first thing that I ventured out from a family business, which was what I had grown up doing for 25 years at this point.
Oh, that long.
And I thought it was the only thing I'd ever do. I never thought about doing it. Well, what if I did that, or what if I did that? So I was kind of in a desperation, and it was a crazy idea. But she, we don't have a choice.
Well, I mean,
I could have got a job.
they were really, the reality is
You could,
this.
yeah, you could have worked at another dude ranch.
No. There's so few that's crossing the line.
Well, when
that's
we got
really
in that
crossing
business,
the
there
line.
was 5 ranches with reputable names, and we were number 5.
And why did it not do well? Like, what was the outcome of it not doing well?
After
ranch?
9/11,
9/11.
It was
we had-
9/11
we-
just
and
killed it.
corporations
People had-
just peeled back and said, we cannot come and spend this kind of money and celebrate when we just lost these people and all
That's
these
what it
things.
was?
But yeah, well, they had deposits down. They said a knee-jerk reaction. Same
Yeah,
thing
pretty
with
freaked
COVID.
out.
Same thing happened to COVID. Knee-jerk reaction. Everybody just locked down and went, did their thing.
I know.
Same thing. And so,
Follow
that's all I had. And I had an idea, and I said, let's go with it.
And he came home, and I've got a baby and a new house, and he comes home and he looks at me and he says, I'm leaving the ranch. I'm not going to work there anymore. I'm going to take the smoker, and this is what I'm going to do. And I just was standing there. I mean, I found him. I'm going to tell on you, but I found him in our garage, heaving, crying. He was devastated. He was broken about the fact that the ranch was his life, and that's the only thing he knew. Not only was it where he worked, but it was where he grew up. He and his mother were at odds at that point in time, and she was. It was what if he said yes, she said no.
You got to kind of back it up about a year. About the time all this happened, my mother had been always wanted a business plan, and if I just had a business plan, if somebody give me she had spent like 3 months with this group from Texas Women's University, and they would come out all the time, and they would spend time and talk, and they got inside my mother's head, and she just threw up all her ideas, and what she really wanted was a working dude ranch with cattle and cattle drives, and we did do a cattle drive as a team building package for 2 days, but she wanted it to be longer and bigger, and so we always had an excellent working relationship. I was kind of her protector. I built the business through sales. When I started at 18, sales were 300,000 and had been 300, 312, 314 for 5 years prior. When I took over sales, first year we took it to 600,000 and grew it up to 1.4 million before we had built a building, a 38,000 square foot special event conference center, and that we doubled. It's got 3 million, 300,000, 3 million. So that's all. That's what I did. That's what I knew, and that's what I loved. And I never thought I'd do anything else. But my mother, looking back after the fact, we kind of realized she was in a bad way health-wise. She had diabetes, and her blood sugar was like 900.
Oh wow.
She was
borderline.
wacky.
She was borderline. Her mind wasn't right. She was thinking right, but her and I had started for the first time in 25 years, kind of coming at odds with each other. And I came home to Robin at some point, and I told her, I says, I'm in a place where I never thought I'd be. I said, I've never had to deal with this, what I'm dealing with. My mother's bucking me and fighting. Back to the business plan.
And she never did.
Never.
No. We always
Y'all were
worked
just
together. We
got
worked
along
together. We were
great.
solid. And I didn't understand what's going on. And I told Robin, I said, I'm in a place where I either got to fuck it or fix it. And she said, can you fix it? I said, I think I can. I said, if I can get all the horses pulling the wagon in the same direction, when I go, yeah, horse is right. If I got one horse that turns left, I got to cut the reins. And what I mean by that is we had some older employees that were my mother from the beginning. Ed was our manager, our ranch manager, and he ended up marrying Vicky, which was my mother's college roommate. And she retired in New York. She had worked there for 30 years in construction, and she'd come back to Texas or allergies, whatever. And they got married, so they were the people I was talking about. I never thought my mother would be the first one to turn left. And so Robin says, if you can fix it, how long will it take? I said, I don't know. She said, how are you going to know you're fixing it?
How are you going to gauge this?
I said, the only thing I say we do is we go to the wall, and then we go, here's where we are, and here's where we need to be. And in 12 months, let's look how far we've come. Have we come halfway? Have we come a quarter of the way? Have we come 3/4 of the way? And Robin said, if you think you can fix it, I believe in you. Sorry, I get a little emotional. And you got 12 months.
That's what she
That's
said.
what I said.
She said you got 12
That's
months.
what she said.
Yeah.
So
That's what she said.
So I go grind it out for 12 months, no money, living on credit cards, new house, and
Wow.
I'm in the 20,000-30,000 in debt, and it's not like I had a decision to make in 12 months, because you go back to the wall and you see how far we'd come. We hadn't come off of ground zero. Even though I had done a lot, I'd taken a 25-year corporate-driven facility,
Oh, yeah.
company picnics. I'd converted it for families. That was our goal. We were going to turn it into open to the public. We had the only. When we started,
Oh, I see. So they
Yeah,
can they rent the facility for like a
Parties.
we're
were
gonna,
basically
Kelly
a
and I are gonna
venue.
have a
we had a package
Just
called
a
the
venue.
Day at the Dude Ranch.
okay,
And
cool.
had a
That's the only
souvenir bandana, barbecue
public
meal,
thing.
horseback riding for an hour, swimming in the pool, full
Family
use of
reunion kind of style.
anything.
Like, that's what you wanna do.
And so I put together a package called Travel to Texas on a tank of gas, and this is prior to 9/11. I'm putting all this together.
You're doing all this.
Yeah.
No one's really helping
Well,
you.
He's trying to make solutions.
So back to my mother, she'd done that marketing study with this Texas Women's Marketing Research Plan is what it was. And they'd been in her head for 3 months, and they came with 2 books that thick and 2 floppy disks. It was all on that. And she asked me, did I want to see the presentation? I said, well, yeah, I want to see what you've been doing the past 2 or 3 months.
Yeah.
And so I sit down in that meeting, and I'm watching them do the presentation. I'm going, holy shit, this is impressive. They dropped a pin, and they went out 60 miles, they went out 120 miles, they went out 180 miles, and they dissected all of our competition. There was nobody that did what we did the Day at the Dude Ranch package. Now we just needed to have it. We didn't have overnight accommodations, so we had this bunkhouse that we had built, and our employees lived in. There was 10 apartments. I was going to convert that into a bed and breakfast. It's right off of the pool, and I was going to convert it into bed and breakfast. That enabled us to put Texas Lil's Dude Ranch and resort. It enabled us to put overnight resort.
Yeah.
I tagged 3 hotels, the only 3 that were out by the Speedway. The Marriott was the higher end package, the Hampton Inn, and then the other one.
The Motel 6.
No,
I think it was.
No, it's right next door to the Hampton, whatever it was. And so it's like $150 for the Marriott, $120 for the Hampton Inn, and $100. And so I had all this. I just took that data, those 2 books, and I went and bought a laptop, and I found a software, and I plugged it all in, and I created this business plan of how look at what's new in 2000. Look at what's new at Texas Lil's in 2002. And so I created that, took that data, plugged it in.
That the women gave you.
Yep, and I made a business plan. And
On your own. Never done a business plan in your life.
No.
You did it by grinding. Your plan was grind, work hard, and that's your business plan.
Yeah.
And then you had
well,
this.
what I did at the ranch was we had volleyball and softball, but we needed stuff for families, so I put in kids stuff, swing sets,
Putt-putt
sidewalk, putt-putt golf. I made it more family friendly in that 12 months.
Added a whole
What's the cost of
daycare?
that? What was like? Do you remember it all? Like the numbers on that?
Oh, I traded it all out.
Oh.
He's a magician.
My concrete guy.
So how did you do that?
How to do what?
How did you trade it out? What'd you give them in return?
Oh, they
I
would
would
get
do
parties.
I would do parties for companies. Smoker was paid off. The ranch was there. It was sitting there, and then 9/11 happened, and we didn't have September. We were going to do it in January. We didn't have 3 months to wait, so we need to do something. And so, I ended up converting the restaurant, getting it off the ground. And after 12 months, I told you what Robin had said to me. 12 months later, my mother and I had just done this for 12 months. And at the end of 12 months, I knew what my responsibility was because I knew we hadn't gotten off zero. So I loaded my stuff up in my truck and I drove across the cattle guard. And the only thing that I owned was the smoker. And so I had taken that. I found 2 guys or 3 guys that said they could help me convert it for $25,000. I picked one out of the 3. And it was going to be 30 days, $25,000, and I was going to have it converted into the smoker and a grill. Well, it was 90 days and $50,000, and I had the world's largest unfinished smoker and grill. And so I have to figure out how to get it so I can make some money. It was not even ready to do anything. And so I did get a job for Sam's Club, wanted me to do 10 grand openings, 5 in Dallas and 5 in Houston, at $5,000 a piece. I still don't know how to price it. I needed the money. So I did it, like to kill me. But I spent a month welding. I bought welders and cutters. I had to finish the racks on the inside. That's what wasn't done. So I had to build all that stuff. And so I got pictures of me out there welding.
He'd never welded before.
And it's July and August. I'd watched it my whole life, but it didn't seem that hard. But I got it going, and I made that $50,000, which kind of got me out of a hole. And then KLTY concert happened. It happened every year in South Fork Ranch in Dallas. It's a Christian concert, but 100,000 plus people. And I was able to get the smoker into that.
How'd you do that?
I didn't have any money. Yeah, so I had to go to my banker and had to borrow $25,000.
Perfect.
And it was a no-brainer for me to break even. If I'd have done good, I'd have made $50,000. If I'd done great, I'd have done 75. If I'd knocked it out of the park, I'd have done 100. No-brainer to break even. Little did I know, this is now 2003. And 2002, when they had a concert, they brought in a bunch of vendors. They quit after 9/11. They quit letting people bring coolers in of their own food and drinks. So these vendors, everything was $12, $15. All these church people kind of did just a silent fuck you to the concession.
Yeah, they did. They just said, we're not buying it.
And can I just tell you, I lost $25,000. I had 5 different types of food: brisket, pork, ribs, sausage, sandwiches. We got off the grid a little, off the reservation.
We had so many people working under that tent.
I had a bunch of volunteer groups that I was gonna make a donation to their church group or whatever, whoever it was working for me. And at the end of it, I lost $25,000, and I was a grown man, and she was with me, and I was on my knees looking at the sky at night.
Crying. We slept in the cab of that truck that night in the sleeper.
I said,
crying.
God, why me? What did I do? You know, I felt like I was being punished.
$25,000 you just lost.
Lost
well,
it.
I borrowed it from the bank.
Yeah.
And I cooked all this
food.
And
then they just weren't.
And the people, this was the first year. It was the second year. I thought it was the first. They were saying, hey guys, no coolers. It used to be a free concert that you could bring your own drinks and your own food. Well, what's new? Somebody saw that there was an opportunity to make money.
Yep.
So they said, you know what? We're going to ban the coolers and all the outside food, and we're going to bring in vendors. So they charge us to be there. And then,
but I wasn't there.
We went the second time.
Second year after that, 2001 was 9/11. 2002 they had their concert, no food, lots of concessionaires, and people was $15 for everything.
And they revolted.
2003 is when we get there because they brought me in to do a bunch of different foods, and I didn't sell anything. I mean, it was crazy.
People did not want anything.
They just brought their own stuff.
They couldn't.
No, they couldn't bring anything. They just wouldn't bring anything. They would just.
So anyway,
Well, that's what that night we just fell out. We were so tired. We got in the cab of the truck and we went to sleep. The next morning, it's still dark outside, and Trace rolls out of the truck, and there's a guy there from Mrs. Baird's. Is he picking up racks or something? There's somebody there who works at Mrs. Baird's, and he's like, man, I'm gonna go to my boss and tell him about this thing because this thing is cool. And that huge defeat that night, and losing all that money, and knowing that we don't have no money to pay the people who, we can't make a donation because we didn't make any money. Now we owe the bank $25,000, and we have no way to recoup that. And this dude just walks up and says, I'm going to tell my boss about it. And he gets a phone call from Mrs. Baird.
About a week later, from a 27-year-old who just graduated Abilene Christian University. He was working for the head marketing guy, Mrs. Baird's Bread here in Fort Worth.
Yeah.
And they wanted me to go to El Paso. El Paso, this company was 98 years old at the time, Mrs. Baird.
Yeah.
And they wanted me to go to El Paso and launch Mrs. Baird's Bread. It was the only city in Texas that didn't have Mrs. Baird's Bread. And the reason for that was Sunbeam.
Wow.
Sunbeam had a
Bimbo.
Oh,
manufacturer.
Sunbeam, Bimbo.
And Bimbo.
Sunbeam
Yeah,
had
because that's
I
who
don't
bought
like
it. That's who bought Mrs. Baird's was Bimbo, right?
Yes.
Bimbo.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or Bebo,
Sunbeam
whatever.
was their
Yeah.
competitor.
Yep.
And so we went to, and they wanted me to travel across the desert in August. And I mean, I learned
Like,
a lot.
what? No.
And all my tires,
I'm good.
all my tires were in good shape, but their DOT numbers were out. So I had to buy all new tires, and I didn't factor that into the price I shot them. But he said if we do a good job, they would sign me up for a year or two contract. And so we went to ABC for breakfast, NBC for lunch, CBS for dinner, and we got Fox in there somewhere on Friday. We did 4 live shows on Friday at their studios and did that. And then Saturday we were at a mall and they had 20 trucks full of bread they were giving away, like thousands.
So they were giving the bread away and you were cooking the...
hot dogs and
Hot
hamburgers.
dogs and hamburgers.
But we
all
did the
time.
marketing run first with all the TV stations. And we ended up getting 22 hours of media on 2 days. And there were
Which is
7
huge.
there were 7 Hispanic channels the day we were at the mall doing that. So it was very successful. And I ended up working with them for 9 years.
You did?
Yeah.
Yep.
So who wrote your paycheck? Who was it?
Mrs. Baird's Bread.
Mrs. Baird's.
Yeah.
Well, Mrs.
That's what y'all
Baird
were
would
doing
just
when I
renew
met
a
you.
contract.
Yeah.
Yes, so that's
Yeah.
what we were doing. We met you, and
No.
actually, we were almost wrapping up. I think when we were wrapping up.
Right brand bacon.
Then
Yeah,
That's what I was going to say.
That
What?
was like a year
Right,
later.
yeah, what was
Yeah.
that?
So
Meat
so
candy.
so
Oh my
after,
God, that
so
was
after 9 years of
Mrs. Baird's.
working for Mrs.
hot
Baird,
dogs and hamburgers.
and I'd gone through, Aaron had moved on, Bimbo had bought them, and lots of changes were going on with Bimbo and Mrs. Baird's. And so I ended up in their centennial celebration at 100 years, and then a couple years after that. But once a contract like that expires, you just kind of got to go find you a new one. Well, the marketing agency here in town called Warren Douglas, who did all Bimbo and Mrs. Baird's stuff, called me to do something for Tyson Chicken. Remember when I
Again.
said I'd meet them back? Well, Tyson Chicken bought Wright Brand Bacon in Vernon, Texas. 75-year-old baking company. Tyson bought them, and they wanted me to.
Vernon, that's
First thing they
Wichita
did
Falls.
Yeah,
wanted me to
Wichita.
do is I wrapped the whole truck with Wright Brand Bacon. I drove it to Florida
Yes,
to
it
Orlando.
was.
I remember
To
that.
Orlando, and I just parked it in a convention center. There, Walmart had their big show, and they wanted to launch it there. And anyway, we ended up working a couple years for them, and that's where we met Pelly, or Robin had known Pelly, and her
Yeah, we met
husband,
at-
and her
I met at
husband,
basketball
Basketball.
practice
and her
at the
husband
elementary
at the
school.
time. And I didn't have any crew because I dispersed all my crew because my contract was out, and it was a year later, maybe 2. And so we enlisted her and her husband and their 2 kids to go with us in our 5th wheel and do a 30-day tour in the Midwest to Bass Pro Shops.
Crazy when you say that.
I mean, I have to say,
Was it
there-
fun? 30 days?
I'm going to tell
Molly?
you, this has been how many years later, from the bottom of my heart. There was a lot of trauma in my life at that time.
Oh, man.
But
30
it was,
days.
it was such a blast also. And I'm always, always, always in complete awe of that smoker. Every time I see it, anytime I see a video, when y'all pulled out the other day to go, I mean, tears were in my eyes. I just like, it's just so impactful for me. I
Yeah.
think meeting you guys and becoming friends, that was such a pivotal time in my life, and it's just, I don't give a shit who you are.
Yeah.
That thing is amazing.
Yeah.
And
Where
you
is it
keep
now?
making it
It's
better.
at the
and
house.
Yeah, it
But
just
do you use it when
Yeah.
you guys? Okay.
So after the Mrs. Baird's contract runs out, we had about a year off in between till Warren Douglas called us to do Wright Brand Bacon. And Tyson had bought them, and they wanted to launch Wright Brand Bacon. So we took the smoker, got it all wrapped, took it to the convention center in Orlando, parked it inside. And so I got a nice little clip from that. But then the next year, they wanted us to do a tour in the Midwest, going to Bass Pro Shops. And we took the bacon, and we wrapped it around an ear of corn, and we smoked it, and then we grilled it,
But you remember you had to manipulate that recipe.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I didn't.
Because they said put that sauce on and throw it straight on the grill. It was catching on
All
fire.
we would do is burn it.
And you're the one that figured out to
We need to smoke it first.
You have to figure it out.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just how life is. You don't, this whole thing, there's no book on it. You just got to figure out what you're
And
doing.
we're handing out.
We're just
Corn with a
Bacon.
How honey.
And you're going to tell people how hot it is? It's got.
But here,
I hate corn in my
I'm
teeth,
I'm gonna
for
hand it
one.
off to Robin.
I wouldn't have bought it.
So
What?
The corn, I don't like that
But I
stuff
think-
in my
we're
teeth.
giving it away.
Oh, y'all give it
Free.
away?
Giving it away
Okay,
free.
but I still wouldn't take it because I like the corn on the cob and I cut it off with a knife, really
You
like
eat
this.
the bacon off of it. It was that.
Okay.
That's what
Oh my God, it was
about the
amazing.
Let me
bacon.
just tell you,
The
it
corn
was
amazing.
honey
Corn was
and
just
butter
And
Okay.
adobo.
and
some-
chipotle peppers around it, and then that's what it was like.
It was
You
a
wrap
sauce.
it
It was honey, chipotle peppers,
and butter.
And butter. That's all it was.
It was a
sauce.
fantastic.
amazing.
It was
Glazed it with
fantastic.
that. It was amazing.
But I will never, ever roll another ear of corn with bacon
No.
ever in my life.
That-
No, I
Thank
can
you.
imagine.
No, we had a
Because
little pad on our hand.
We
by the time
the
we did that.
deal was that we had to stop in each one of these little towns wherever we were going, and
We
it was
stayed in RV
1,000
parks
it
because
was
we had a fifth wheel.
But all of you were staying in the same.
me and
Fifth wheel.
Trace and Trooper and Tanner were in the front of the fifth wheel, and then it was because it was a toy hauler, and then Pelly and her husband and her two kids were in the back. We've not known each other that long. We've known each
Yeah.
other a while, but
Yeah.
this is nothing.
6 months.
that you would take a
Yeah,
brand new.
maybe
It's a
a
baby,
year.
a brand new friendship. It was
You
crazy.
should never take a friend on a road trip like that and live with them.
Well, let me just tell you what we ended up doing.
I'm serious.
So, not only are we on this trip to work, but we have 4 children with us.
Shoot me.
Young ones.
So, little ones.
Shoot
3 of them are in
me
elementary school.
in the head.
3 of them are in elementary school.
Bicycles.
Oh.
Everything. We
And
look like
entertainment.
a rolling shit show every time we roll up in. And we're in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee.
Well,
and-
every place we went, we stayed in an RV park because we had a fifth wheel, and I could park the smoker there.
Yes.
So we
And
had
he would
it's a
feed
dual
people?
fire.
And we would feed
And I
people.
could rent a cabin, and the cabin is what we used to wrap the bacon around the corn,
Yes.
day or two prior to the party.
So you'd be in the cabin because there's a kitchen.
Oh, no,
Correct.
no.
No, the
No,
cabin.
we.
No,
No,
it's a cabin.
we.
No.
Yeah, we.
Me
But
and
important
Pelly.
to
We,
that,
what
you
were
had to
you
have
doing?
the air conditioning.
He was running around with the other husband.
No,
Lord
yeah.
knows
Well,
what.
we-
and
watching the
cooking for
kids.
people, watching the
No, what we did is we brought the corn and the bacon from the refrigerator.
1,000 ears.
kids. 1,000 years a weekend.
4 or 5 boxes at a
Belly,
time.
they put you to work.
We had a
4 or 5
blast.
boxes
We had
at a
so much-
time. They're in the air conditioned cabin and they are wrapping the bacon around the corn. And then they said what, Miller Lite and
We had
Rubber-
Miller
Where
Lite.
they would give us a case of Miller Lite, iced down, and then they would bring in the corn, and they would bring in the bacon, and those damn, those little
Food pin.
metal pins that
Little
go
metal
inside
pins.
the
Yeah, I
steak.
know.
Okay, we were having to shove that into a corn cob.
Frozen corn cobs.
And listen to Rodney Carrington.
But we
It
had
take
to
us
get-
4 hours.
Oh my God, we would just be
And
half
then
drunk.
we did that for 30 days, and there was
Yes.
like at least 1 or 2 a week.
That might be where I started drinking beer so much.
We drank a lot of beer.
I drank so much
Did
beer
you?
that summer.
Yes.
Girl.
Yeah.
Girl.
We
Yeah.
were in there
He
rolling
goes,
So
yeah.
they'd
ears
get
of
them,
corn
they'd
for
get them
4
done,
hours.
and we would load them back out and bring them more. So that's what we were doing.
They watched the kids and did all that part
And
while we
bro-
were in the
And
air.
the
Okay,
rule
so
was keep the kids
30
out.
days.
We were in
and
the
then you went
summer. We
home.
were in Tennessee, and she was hot.
We were in Memphis.
in the summer. In the
Yeah, you didn't have beautiful weather.
no.
Mm-mm,
But so we
no.
got the air conditioned cabin, so it was we were
So
like,
we were like,
okay,
keep the
we'll
kids out
do
of
it.
there.
We'll no problem.
Were the kids having a good time?
Yeah.
I
They
think
were
Riley
in
might be
Newport.
the only one.
Riley
that's
Do they
would
trying.
probably
remember?
argue with that.
Do they remember it?
I have
Yes.
a picture of Riley and Chase and Tanner, and they're just so cute. They're so little, and we went to Graceland, and we all went through Graceland together, and we were laughing and having a big time. And Pelly found, because Yelp was fairly new at the time, I guess, but Pelly found a place to eat while we were in Memphis, and she's like, "We're going to this little hot dog stand."
Oh yeah.
Oh gosh.
That was
We
good,
got a 57-foot smoker, and she takes us over to some little hot dog stand that's
You were
a
thinking you were gonna have a
VW
nice-
bus, and they're rolling it
cool
on a
shit.
griddle. It was called I Dream of Weenie.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm good.
We also.
We ate it. We loved that.
But also in Memphis, we did Gus's fried chicken, which was
yes, that was the first
worth-
time we ever
it
had
was
Gus's
worth the
fried
risk. That was
chicken,
fun.
and we ate like it was our first day out of jail. I mean, we were just.
That
I was digging
the
under my
only
fingernails.
location they had at the
that was
time.
amazing.
It was so.
So y'all
good.
didn't have to keep the kids entertained on this trip?
I mean, I'm sure at the time,
We had Trooper.
if you look back, they were really good.
Yeah.
At
Yeah.
the time, we were like, God Heidi, shut up, and just go over in the corner and play.
Please.
But, you know,
All
they're-
RV parks had little places for kids to play.
And by the end of the trip,
But
everybody
you have
had
to
a
watch
bicycle.
them.
No, we
You
Trooper.
do?
Well, I mean, they could get kidnapped.
We had Trooper.
No.
So Trooper
And
watched
we
them.
flew Loretta in at one point in time, and
Yes.
it was funny too because
we had the swamp coolers. I mean, we look like
we looked
the
like the
hillbilly.
Beverly
Yeah.
Hillbillies. We looked so bad. We had these giant.
We
swamp
by God
coolers.
had
We
it going
did-
on.
And we would sit outside with our feet up on those coolers, a fan blowing up our.
Sweating.
Oh
Yeah.
God! And I told Pelly before we left, I said, "Go buy you some shorts. You need to buy them 1 or 2 sizes bigger than you normally wear, and buy yourself some men's tidy whitey underwear."
Yep.
And she did,
did.
because you will stand out there. There's a smoker here with these bright big flames coming off. We're standing there.
Why do you need tidy whities?
Because when
Okay,
you're
'cause-
when you
okay,
sweat,
so you travel during the week, and then you get to the RV park, and then you got to roll 1,000 ears of corn, okay, for 2 days of a show, okay, and he's gonna smoke them, cook them, do all those things.
That's
Then,
grinding.
Once they come
but we
off,
got to stand there and serve them.
yes, once they come off the smoker, then we have to stand there and hand them to the people and explain that it's hot. Little kids want to eat it. You're like, this is
Be
Adobe.
careful.
Yes.
Yeah, it's Chipotle. It's
So
hot.
you're just standing there sweating with those little cooler things around your neck, the little curtains.
Oh,
those little
God, we
things
had
that
those
you got cold and
frog tog
Yes.
things around our
So how'd
So-
you get from that?
we had monkey butt powder and
Everywhere.
men's underwear on under our shorts.
Why do men's underwear work better than women's?
Well, they're thicker and they have a wider band.
And they have a penis strap.
When you sweat,
Yeah.
that
What'd you
leg
do with that?
it catches in
Oh,
that leg
they're-
band and it doesn't drip down
they're
the back
long
of your
gone.
leg. I mean, it is
Yes.
brutally.
Who told you to buy tidy whities to do that?
They're like
You
boxer briefs or
You
something.
only kind of have to wear them like you only have to do it
Yeah,
one
we never
time
wore 'em
and you
again.
go.
And it works?
Yes.
Oh yeah, all cotton.
That's a smart.
All cotton. Yeah.
So we get to Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, which is something that if you've never experienced it, there's no way I can explain it to you. It is redneck Vegas.
Redneck Vegas. With no
There
very
are
little alcohol in that town. I would say.
45 different places to get pancakes. Half the place calls them Johnny cakes. This side calls them hot cakes. I mean,
Flapjacks.
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 It's everywhere. Pancakes are popular in Tennessee.
With wooden roller coasters.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
we went to Dollywood.
We did.
It
Oh,
was
yeah.
fantastic. But we go to our stop that morning. This is Pelly and I. We're about halfway through it, and it's just brutal. You know, it's just brutal. We get to a Bass Pro Shop. We go inside. We're going to go to the bathroom before we kick off the day. And we are wearing,
Every week.
every week, we have on this fleshy, peach-colored T-shirt that has a piece of bacon
Right across
You have to
the-
wear the same
right
shirt
across
every day.
here.
We had a bunch.
And it says, tastes like meat candy on our boobs.
Yes.
And as we're trotting
You have
ourselves,
no pictures of this.
Oh,
there's
yes.
pictures.
We're trotting ourselves through Bass Pro Shop, and she hears some lady go, "Look at those girls! They're trophy wives." And Pelly looked at me.
I
She
almost
goes,
peed on myself. I was like,
"Ooh,
what?
trophy wives in Pigeon
I mean, we got
Forge."
I got on men's underwear, lady. I don't know what you
And
think a trophy wife is. But this thing
Because
is.
y'all are
Heaven
better than those
forbid any
girls.
air move through there because it's going to
Yeah,
dust
shit
up
on
the
my-
monkey butt.
Yes.
And it was
I
embarrassing.
mean,
Yes.
you know what? Because what did they look like? That's the
Country.
We were trying not to look at anybody
Square
because
toe boots and Wranglers. You know, girl. Whatever.
they were. It
It's
was
just nice.
So how'd you get out of this gig? What happened after that gig?
We did the next year for 60 days. First year was 30.
And then you just kept doing that?
Nope, there's 2 years on that. And then after
I
that,
still only eat red brand bacon.
we had a break
The only way to go.
of about a year. No, it's to 11. No, it's 10, 11. 2012, the History Channel found me.
Yeah.
Okay.
And we ended up signing a deal with the History. We did a History Cross Country Cookout Tour. It was 90 days and 3 years in a row. We did it. We went from Texas to New York, California, and back in 90 days.
And you did it with it?
No.
No, not that. At that point, you know, at some point the kids had to stay home. The older son was in high school by this point, so we're talking about football practice, and he's got to be there. So there was a lot of, like we went on the road together to do.
How'd that work on your marriage? Like, what's that? Did it help? Having some space?
Probably not. I mean, it was difficult because.
I can imagine, yeah. A lot of people.
So, you know, I said earlier, you know, that he reminded me a lot of my dad. He has my dad's work ethic. He just works from can to can. You know, it's as,
And this is where it came back to bite me in the ass.
yes.
the part where I was like her dad, the worker, the go-getter, the digger, the just go
Yeah.
after. And she resented it at this point because that's what she resented about her dad was that he
went
worked
around.
all the time. He was never around.
He was
Right.
always around. And
So
that's what became.
She planted firm at the house with the kids, and it was my responsibility to get back and forth. So luckily, this History Channel was probably one of the better tours I ever did, and I arranged for flights, so I would fly in and out every week.
Friday, he'd be home Friday morning for a football game on Friday night, and then he'd be gone again on Saturday.
I'd leave Friday night.
But that's what we had to do. That's what we had to do, and
Okay.
that was working for me. And you know, like what I was gonna say was that, like I said, he reminded me of my dad. The day Trooper's a different story. I think Tanner's the story that's the hardest for me because that's the story where you had to go to Sam's Club, right? No, Trooper, you were working Sam's Club when Trooper was born,
Yeah.
but he was getting busy with some other stuff when I had my second son, and it was just like, here I am, I'm calling him going, hey, I'm about to go in for an emergency C-section, I need you to come to the hospital. And he's like, holy shit. I mean, what were you doing?
I just got the smoker to a place where I could get it painted, and I had it lined up to be painted because I had to start that Sam's Club tour about a week later. And so I was right there, but of course I didn't have a CDL, so I always had to get a driver, or I did it myself illegally. And so I was ready to take it to the paint shop when she told me I need to come have a baby. And she was a week earlier, 2 weeks earlier.
That was a month early.
She just went to the doctor for an appointment, and she said, you're going to the hospital now. And so she calls me, so I got to drop everything I'm doing. I come there, and she has the baby.
And let me just say this. I go to the hospital with my 4-year-old with me, who just the Saturday prior had been to the hospital tour to do I'm going to be a big brother, and here's how you change a diaper and all this stuff. And then literally on Tuesday morning, I'm like, hey, the doctor, how long you been leaking amniotic fluid? I'm like, huh? She goes, seriously? And I'm like, I just thought it was a hot summer. He said, July. What the hell? What do you think?
I thought it was.
I mean, what was
How
happening?
wet were you? I mean, that's
I
crazy.
mean, I don't know.
It
but
might have been
was
those men
sweaty.
underwear you were
and
wearing.
I was just like, oh. So
That's before we knew
He's
about
just-
monkey butt and men's underwear.
these are how I know these things.
I know,
Just
because
saying,
you,
just had to live like this.
yeah.
So, you know, I'm telling him, hey, this is happening. Now I'm a problem, not really, but I'm creating a new problem. So he gets to the hospital, and he's literally there. I don't know. You brought your laptop.
Well, it was
strung out everything everywhere.
C-section, so it went fast.
Yeah.
I mean, it was
Yeah,
scheduled.
it's scheduled, and you're
it-
done.
He was like gone, and I had to call my
Well, I
mother.
had to go. She was
Yeah,
there.
he had to leave, and I had to call my mother because I had to stay for 2 or 3 days after the C-section, and they were like, "Okay, you can go home now." And I'm like, "Mom, can you come and get me? And could you stop by and buy a car seat? Because I thought I had a month, and I was
No, I get that.
you know,
Yeah.
second time around,
Yeah,
Mom,
you
I wasn't in
didn't
a
have
big
that-
hurry, you know, no big deal.
No.
And
And
here
she
I-
did.
She went and got me the little bucket and the whole 9 yards, and she brought me home. And she had to bring me clothes and everything. I mean, I went for a doctor's visit and didn't come home for 3 days.
Because your amniotic fluid was leaking.
Apparently, that was the problem. So
And what the baby weigh?
he was small. He was like seven something.
7'11".
Seven
made that
6. Trooper was 9'11", and when Trooper was born, he was 9'11", on 9/11 at 11:09.
What?
That is my first baby's birthday.
That's crazy.
Born on 9/11.
Yeah, no.
He was
at
born
11:09.
on 9/11.
He was
So
born
what
on
was
9/11.
that day like for you?
Well, he was born on 9/11.
Before the actual
4
event.
years, 4 years
Oh,
years
that's
prior.
right.
So, Trooper's in kindergarten.
Because I was pregnant
Yeah.
okay.
Okay, so Trooper's
Yeah,
in
with
Trooper's
Wyatt,
in
yeah, me
kindergarten.
too.
And Trooper's in kindergarten. He's starting kindergarten. Is that right? Or first grade? Miss Kane? Was she kindergarten or first grade? Kindergarten.
Kindergarten.
So he's starting kindergarten, and it's going to be his 5th birthday. Okay, so he's super excited. Well, no, maybe his 6th birthday because he's a little older in the class. And Trace calls to the school and he wants to know if we can bring cupcakes for Trooper's birthday because he's like, I don't want our son to associate this shitty day with his birthday.
So you're creating this whole thing.
It's a whole diversion.
It's really not a thing.
Whole diversion. And the school says, no, you can't bring cupcakes at lunch because there's other students.
Allergies and
Well, there's other students. At the time, there were no allergies.
You got to feed them all.
You got to feed them all.
Oh.
If you can't bring them
Can't
all a
just bring them to
cupcake.
class.
Oh.
You got to feed the school.
Yeah, if you can't bring them
That's
all
stupid.
a cupcake.
I said, how many you got?
I mean, pizzas. I mean, really?
I said,
It's a
how
class.
many kids you
Trey said,
got?
how many kids you got?
for a class birthday party, you had to bring it to the whole school.
We wanted to do it in the cafeteria.
Oh, okay.
And when we got to the cafeteria, that's the whole point.
I
Had we
don't
done
know
it in the
about-
classroom, she said that's different. But we wanted to do it in the cafeteria at lunch. So she said, if you don't have one for the whole school, then you can't
Why'd
bring
you
them at all.
want to do it in the cafeteria? You just didn't want to.
He said just do it at lunch.
a big celebration to kind of overcome this sad day on his kid's birthday.
Okay.
The moral
So,
of the story is, I said, how many you got? She got 450.
so we had to go buy 450
I'll bring
cupcakes.
450 then.
For his 5th birthday.
For the whole
Sixth.
and 6th birthday, the whole entire elementary school at lunch got a cupcake for Trooper's birthday.
And who made those cupcakes?
I'm gonna buy
Sam's
Sam's Club, probably. I was gonna say.
Walmart.
Well, they make really good ones.
Well, they do. Sam's Clubs are really good.
I mean, they used to.
Yeah, they used to.
So that's what we did there. It was kind of insane.
So all the trials and tribulations up to this point, especially speaking of coming from like an entrepreneur, do you have like a moment or a piece of advice or something that kind of pulled it together for you that you would share with?
No, but I kind of live by
Somebody-
this. I sent this to my sons the other day. I said the quickest way to succeed is to start now and figure it out as you go. You can't learn to drive in a parked car.
Yep.
Sure can.
So I send them stuff like that, and that's kind of a, you just got to go. I mean, I think about the ranch. The ranch I was 10 years old. There was winters where we didn't have electricity for a week or 2 days or 3 days. We couldn't afford gas, propane to heat in the wintertime. So I was a survivalist by nature from 10. And so, when
That's good.
when they talk about our generation being feral, we were out.
Yeah.
We were.
From
That's
the
how we
time
figured
you
it
go
out.
in the morning till it's dark.
It's true.
And then some people had to be home at dark. I didn't. I was out to 10, 11 o'clock.
I mean, I wouldn't until 10 or 11, but I would have if my parents weren't trying to find me and my brother
Yes,
for
for
dinner.
sure.
For dinner.
So,
Yeah.
so
I mean, I was
on
gone
a
all
ranch,
day.
I became.
never
That's just all I
cared
knew. I
where we
grew
were.
up trying to just had to figure it out.
That's how we
I
did.
mean,
Yeah.
and the way you figure it out was like when we didn't have any gas in our house, we didn't have a hot water heater. There was a little house over there about 100 yards, and we would walk in the snow and go shower at night, and come back over here and set a bottle of water in the one bathroom that did have a heater, and it would heat up, and then I would wet my hair in the morning to go to school.
But you had a sister, too, right?
Yeah.
And what was that like for her? She's tough.
Nah, she hated it.
She hated it.
Yeah, she ended up resenting the whole thing. To
And
me, I was
what's
just
the age difference?
4 years.
Yeah, but you're a guy.
Yeah.
Girls would resent that a
Oh
little
yeah,
bit.
14. That's
Wanting
it.
to roll
That's
her
how she-
hair.
That's how old
We're all
Dana
worried
was
about
when they rolled out there.
makeup.
14 years old. She gets pulled out of Arlington and gets dropped into Justin, Texas, which literally has nothing.
Arlington
going on
High
there.
School, like you would have gone to like Arlington High or something.
Cooper.
Okay. See, this is what's interesting is you have two children from the same deal. They had a totally different experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Completely
it's the
different.
same with like raising your kids. Like
Yeah,
they
she
can say, "Oh,
resented
mom
it.
was this," and I never saw mom do that ever.
You know what's crazy though is that I think that my kids would say the same thing, that they had two different experiences.
So would mine.
Because Trooper was our first baby. We were living in our tiny little house. We were grinding and clawing and scraping to get whatever we could do. And by the time we had Tanner, we had some experience under our belt. We had a little bit more money. We were doing
Yeah.
bigger deals.
Yeah.
And so things were different for
It was different.
Tanner. That Trooper even says now, he's like, well, it wasn't the same.
Yeah, the
No.
trips are not the same. I mean, mine are 10 years apart. There was, I was a completely different mother.
Yeah.
Now, I don't see it. I don't remember it. I mean, I remember, but they will tell you.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't get that. Well, I got the cleats you bought me, where I would actually take
The other one.
the baby,
Pick one.
the
Pick one.
baby would get to go to,
Pick his up.
pick whichever one you want. You know what I mean?
That's exactly
I
what
mean,
happened at my
I feel
house.
sorry for Elliot. I mean, I was just like, oh,
the best you
you're going to
could,
get
though.
exactly what you
Well, there
what I buy
lies
you.
the issue is that,
I think they're tougher.
it took me a long, long time to be able to give myself some grace
Yeah.
because I was raised very Southern, in that there were a lot of things that I just did because that's what my mom and dad said I had to do. And maybe I didn't really understand it.
Yeah.
And I never challenged it.
Me neither.
Didn't challenge it. But then I come out of this family that's predominantly female, and all my cousins and female, and then I have these 2 boys.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm like,
hey girl, my family's the
what do I do
same
with
way.
this?
Everyone
I
has
know.
girls.
I know.
I'm the
You have
only
2
one.
boys.
I mean, it was like for the third, I was like, do I have a third? Would it be a boy? Would it be a girl? Do I do it just because I want a girl?
And rolling the dice.
Hell no. There's a lot. There's so many girls in the family anyway, and it's a
I
lot
just
of
don't think I should
girl
have been a girl's
energy.
mom
No, I
anyway.
wasn't either.
I don't think I would have been a good.
I think
girl
you're going to be a
anyway.
great girl grandma,
I'm doing really good at that.
right?
Yeah, I think you will too.
I
I was
think
going to
it's
say,
really
I mean,
I saw a TikTok the other day that said no siblings have the same parents.
they don't.
It's very
Because,
true.
Yes, you don't know what you're doing the first time.
That's
the
right.
second time, it could be economic difference. It could be divorced. It could be anything. Like whatever it's going on. And that look at Ethel was 6.
Well, and the
like,
kids are different.
Yes.
How you do?
So
you treat both
nobody
of you
has the same experience because
I'm going to say
it's
no.
a different
I do not.
dynamic.
No, you don't because guess what? You're not the 2 same people.
No.
You know what I'm
and,
saying?
You know what's crazy is that the older son, big boy, like he's saying, 6'5", big kid in high school. He was a left tackle. He was a big boy. The younger brother.
I remember.
The younger brother, a little bit more of a spider monkey. He's long and lanky.
Skinny,
and
yeah.
He's the quarterback, and then he was a receiver. So just 2 different types of people. But Tanner is an antagonist, a professional. He might be.
You mean he's kind of a goofball, goofy,
He
stir
is-
stuff? Oh.
Pokes the bear.
All
and
the time. And Trooper would take the bait every time. The videos that I have seen now as they have grown and now they tell on each other a little bit, it's funny because I'll see videos. I'm like, Trooper, I cannot believe you were hitting your little brother that hard, because Trooper was the size of a grown man and Tanner was a little kid and Trooper was just whipping his tail all the time. But
Really?
something that Trooper
But he
got,
doesn't seem like that kind of kid. He seems he's sort of like softer.
They're siblings and they're boys.
Yeah, I know.
Listen, Tanner
But
knows every button.
you'll never see a
He
fight
knows
worse than brothers.
every button that Trooper's got, and he knows how to push it. He knows how to grate on his nerves. He knows exactly what to do, and vice versa. They
Well, let me
both
ask you
know
this.
these things.
That gets me back to where y'all's business is now, right? Hilltop. Okay, so like, how did that happen? Like, how did you guys decide? Was it your
Can I please tell
creative,
a
crazy
story?
idea? What was the deal? You had to create it, right? You were the
Yeah.
one that came up with the.
Okay, hang on a second.
I want to hear the whole thing.
Me. I want to tell it.
Okay, you want to tell the whole story? Okay, Robin.
I want to tell the whole story. So
Try.
it was the West.
He doesn't
Coast,
argue.
It was the West Coast Grilling Tour, and we decide that we are going to, because it's in the summertime, and we're going to take an RV, which neither one of us had ever been in an RV, but Trey said this will be great because he had plenty of staff at this point. He had a driver, he had a truck manager, he had somebody driving the dragon wagon, he had somebody doing everything. So at this point, the crew would travel from event to event.
She asked about Hilltop.
Hang on a second, how did we get there?
This is how she's getting there. Okay.
She asked you something.
This is
I'll
what
go
a
with and go to
30-year
ranch.
marriage looks like.
Yeah, exactly. So many stories we can't think of them all. But, so, Trace says, you know what? Let's take the boys and we'll rent an RV and we can cruise across America during the week, and then we'll show up and meet up with the truck at the event, and then we'll work, and then the truck will move on, and we can just stay on our family vacation. And this was going to be fantastic. This is a wonderful idea.
And you went for it.
Oh,
90 days, was it?
like a wide mouth bass. Got it. Let's go. I'm in. So one of the couples that he hires has a motorhome,
Okay.
and he proposes to them, would you be willing to rent this motorhome to us and let me and my family drive it, and we'll meet you guys at the events while you and your wife travel with the team? And he said, absolutely. Well, it was not good. It was not good at all. We're going to start with, we get in their RV, and it is a drivable Airstream.
Oh.
Never seen one in my life, but that's what it
I
is.
don't have either.
A nice one?
Oh, it's like
1975?
70
Yeah.
something. It's got a
Oh,
like
yeah.
a shell in the
I've
middle
seen
where the
that.
engine is in a center mount, and it's a gas.
They're all over
engine.
Colorado.
So we take off in this thing, and I have spent weeks packing it. I have used all kinds of little apparatuses to stuff and poke and rack and stack and knit and tuck and slide and ram and sometimes jam. I mean, I had filled up this motorhome for me and 2 kids and him.
First motorhome trip ever.
I'd never been in one.
Have y'all driven one?
No, but I don't know this, and I think he can do anything.
So he's from a dude ranch. He can
He's a
do
dude.
whatever he
But he can
wants.
think all kinds
He's
of
a man's
things.
man.
He
Look
can
at
do
him.
anything.
He
Yeah.
can drive that smoker. Surely he can drive this thing.
Of course he
Hell
can.
yeah.
It's like driving a Coors Light
Yeah.
can.
Yeah.
So off we go. And our first stop is Wichita Falls, Texas, because it is pouring down
that's not very
rain,
far from
and
home.
we cannot see shit.
No, and it's loud. First of all, the tin can is loud.
And this
Okay,
is
and
a mid-mount
the windshield
engine.
wipers.
How
And
old
remember
are
the
the
windshield
boys?
wipers.
They're young. They're young. They're in kindergarten and 6th grade.
And you just couldn't see
Or kindergarten.
jack shit.
I mean,
They gotta be just bouncing
you driving?
No,
around.
Tanner's not even in school, so they're probably 5 and 10. So Tanner's not
Y'all
even in
just
school
got to
yet.
Wichita Falls.
Yes.
That's
it's
3. That's like
pouring down
maybe
rain.
100 miles.
100 miles. Yeah.
And we pull off on the side of the road. Now, here's something else. I don't know that you got to make reservations days or weeks in advance in RV parks. I don't know anything. We're rolling up. Y'all got a place for us to stay.
You should have just stayed in a hotel.
Jeez Louise.
Motel.
So we get to our hotel. We get to our spot. Trace gets out in the driving rain. He plugs the thing in. And we got a Jeep behind it. And we lay down in that bed, and my head hits a puddle of water. And I'm like,
No.
Trace, the thing is leaking. What the hell? So the owner had put in a backup camera to, help us, and he had not sealed the hole. So it is just pouring down rain on top of us. So we finally get everything dry. We get to sleep. We finally get to Colorado Springs. Through Raton Pass, we are climbing. And this center mount console is
You're
making a
missing
noise.
part of the best story.
Hang on. I'm thinking we're going to throw a
He's
rod
gonna
and
interject
kill
it.
somebody. Where do you want to stop?
So these 2 people that I hired.
Oh,
kind
we're
of
not talking about
evangelists.
Sally and them.
They were
No.
evangelists.
No, we're not talking about them. I don't want to talk about them. Peter and Sally were interesting people. And
Well, why can't...
Mom said no.
Mom said no. Well, they were evangelical people.
It's
He
part of the
wanted to be
story.
a preacher. And so he thought that he could go and spread the good word while he
No,
was
I
on the
clearly
smoker.
told him before he left you couldn't use this platform as your pulpit. You can't.
But he
And
did.
my sister and him, she was kind of running the crew. They had already been to 2 events, and he'd already been doing that. She's calling me on the phone saying that you've got to stop him.
Oh, he's standing on your...
He's using it to do his
To do-
religious stuff while we're
Well, hang on a
doing
second.
a job.
I
For the
think
word.
that where the rubber met the road there is when he tried to talk her, because she's a lesbian.
So they're
And
on their
she's
way.
like,
So
Oregon
they're
or
on
sexuality.
they're on their way
Man.
from Kansas City or something. They're coming down the 40, and we're coming up 287. We're kind of coming to meet the same place in Amarillo. And in Amarillo, we're having a come to Jesus meeting with these 2 people. We all meet and we get together, and I explain to them they can't do that. There's no way. And we're already having second guessing about this RV because it's. And we're running, but when we
Like, we're about to
leave
be
Amarillo,
kebab.
and we hit Raton Pass,
Mm-hmm.
it's got a 454 in it, and it's going wah, pop, 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 wah, pop, pop, pop. And I think the rod is fixing to come out of that engine
Fly out and get
and
us.
hit us. I mean, it was that bad. And I said, and I'm getting calls from my sister because they're still acting crazy. I said,
They're
Robin,
still acting
I
crazy.
said, Robin, get on the
She ain't
phone.
having it.
I said, Robin, get on the phone and get out in front of Denver and see if you can find us an RV rental. And she finds B&B RV, and they don't have anything in the rental fleet. They only have new ones that they sell. And
Oh, shit.
yeah, and so I talked to the guy on the phone a little bit. I said, look, I need this for, was it 60 or 90 days?
60 days.
60 days. I said, I need it for 60 days, 2 months. Can you not take one out of your sales fleet and put it in the rental fleet? And he talked about it, came back and said, all right, we're going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'd already paid this guy in full and his per diems for this trip.
Yeah,
In
we
full for
paid him.
renting his RV, like $7,500 to rent his RV.
This airstrip.
We paid him
yeah,
14 grand for the RV.
No, there's an extra.
Oh.
It's $7,500, and we paid him their per diems. And so we're headed between New Mexico and Colorado Springs. I got the deal sealed. and we're not going to make it to Denver to get the trade-off. It doesn't feel like this thing's going to make it. So we pull into Colorado Springs to a hotel. She goes, you can pick it up here if you want to.
Yeah, I go to the store and buy those Ziploc bags that you like hook your vacuum cleaner to.
Yeah.
And I take all that stuff that I have shoved into that RV and I pack it in these bags and suck it all down. And I mean, I'm throwing them out the side of that RV into a vehicle so Trace can get it. We're going to a hotel and these people are coming to get their RV.
Not yet.
We ain't playing with you
Not
no more.
yet, because we don't have our new one yet. When we have new ones secured, we pull them door to door, and Robin's throwing all those bags at me. We get into this new one. I get on the phone. I call my sister. I said, "Tell them they're fired, and tell them their RV's at XYZ Hotel in Colorado Springs.
Colorado Springs.
They need to get from there to here to get it." And that's what happened.
And they did?
She fired them. They came and got their RV, and we went off in the new one.
And we went off in the new RV. So that is
crazy.
This RV trip was hysterical. It took us 2 years to ever get back in an RV. But that is.
Look at his face.
It did.
We bought one a year later.
No, we didn't. We were there.
Wait,
We went
so
on
you're in that newer,
2007 and
you're
we
in
bought
the newer
2009.
RV. Did you have to take the RV? You went around. You did your trip. Did you have to take it back to where you got
Yeah.
the?
Oh yeah.
I
So
had to
then,
drive
what
to
did you
Denver.
do?
We drove to Amarillo.
Okay, I just have to know the whole story.
Yes,
you know
we did.
me.
We drove to Amarillo and then you flipped around and came back because Dee Dee came and met us in
Oh, so you
Amarillo.
flew by yourself and picked up. Okay.
So he drove it back to Denver. He dropped
So
us off.
did you love it? Did you have a blast?
We didn't
We
know
didn't
we
know
were
it
having
at
a
the
good time.
time, but we absolutely fell in love with RVing.
You did. So y'all both
Yeah.
loved it. Okay,
But
that's
we,
what I
like I
that's good to
said,
know.
in the moment, we did not. I was like, you are never.
But
gonna
if you
get
have a
me
nice
back
RV.
in there,
And this is a
ever
brand
again.
new
This is
one.
brand new,
We rented, the
beautiful.
one they rented, took it out of the sales fleet and put it in the rental fleet.
It was fancy.
It was
too.
an excursion. You'll still see them on the road today. It was beautiful. It was nice
Yeah,
weather.
it's absolutely beautiful. But what we did with zero knowledge, it's a wonder that we survived that trip because we, like I said, it was on the West Coast, so we went all the way up through. Well, we thought we could maybe drive through Yellowstone Park in a day.
No, we thought
it didn't work out. A few hours. That didn't really work out.
12 hours.
And every time you have to go to stop to get to eat, do anything, you've got to plan it. Like
Well,
I did travel in a
You got to at least
Airstream,
figure out where
but it was
hell
the
to
new
park.
Mercedes Airstreams,
Yeah.
and you have to figure out how to park. We did it.
Well, we
all-
came out, so we thought it was 3 or 4 hours to get through Yellowstone.
Yeah, we didn't think it would
It's
take
12 hours. We come out Jackson Hole on the other
Oh,
side,
thought we were gonna
and
die.
it's 9 o'clock at night. It's dark. We pull this RV park. Trees are hanging down everywhere. People around burn barrels. I mean, it was
I'm
something.
just like,
it was something.
I hear banjos.
Yeah, there's
Was it a
banjos
lot
playing.
of?
We don't know. We didn't
don't
even
know.
see.
You just parked it and
shut
left
the
your
blinds.
everything dark.
We shut the blinds, went to bed, got up at 6 o'clock because
And left.
this is the one time because Yellowstone took us so long. We had to be in Tacoma, Washington at a certain time, and we were behind
hurry.
at this time. So we had to drive straight through from Jackson Hole, Wyoming, and we had to drive across Idaho like this, and it's long. It took all day, but she's making me food. I'm driving. I mean, even to go to the bathroom, I'd put the wheel up. She'd slide in. I'd slide out.
So
We just
you
stopped-
were not
we
taking
just
a
stopped
break.
to go to the bathroom.
No, we couldn't take a
ate,
break on
we
that day.
drove, we were-
You peed in a
it
beer
was
can.
like-
What'd you do?
It was like a 20-hour day. No, I get up. I
He'd
put
get
the
up.
wheel
There's a
up,
restroom in the-
and
in the
she-
RV.
I know, but I
she
mean,
would hold the
I'd
wheel.
slide in under the wheel and then
She
I'd
would
drive till
and
they came back.
I'd go to the
Oh, I
bathroom,
see what you did.
I'd
We
go to the
never even
bathroom and
stopped.
come
I
back.
see what you did. Yeah.
And so we pull
Y'all
up.
are a sideshow.
I know.
So where
I
were the
know.
kiddos?
We pull
In the
up.
back, girl, looking out the
we
window,
pull in-
jumping
we-
around.
No, they were probably watching videos too.
Oh well,
know.
we Game Boys were about the only thing that was going on
Walmart
at
at
that
the time was a very boondockable place. It was very commonly known you can boondock
Mm-hmm.
at Walmarts. And we pull in after leaving at 6 in the morning, 6 in the evening, 12, 2 o'clock in the morning. It's one of the longest days. I have about a handful of the longest days of my life, and this is one of them. Pull into Tacoma, Washington, wore out, tired, and we pull in this parking lot. There's a sign right in front of the window that says,
No
no
boondocking."
boondocking at this Walmart.
They call it boondocking.
Yeah. And there's a phone number there.
You just roll up. If you got a generator,
It's good to know, man.
You just turn your
Boondocking.
You
generator.
can
Yeah,
do it. You
sleep
can
in
do
it.
it. You can do it at Cracker Barrel.
Yeah, we stayed at
Cracker
Cracker
Barrel.
Barrel.
So you kind of know where.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you
Now
learn
there-
things
now
over
there's
the
a new
years, but
thing
we
out
didn't know.
called Harvest Toast, which is really cool.
What is that?
We're-
Switching teams? What are you?
No, it's like $80 a year,
It's
and
160.
is it
I
160?
think it's a $160 a year membership, and that grants you access to a list of people who
That you can
offer
boondock.
places where they can come and
Dairy
park their
farms,
RVs.
farms, wineries. It doesn't matter.
Food
Really?
truck bars.
And they
Yeah.
charge you?
No, it's
No,
free.
it's free.
Oh.
All they ask is if somebody if they sell something, like some people sell jams, jellies, cookies, homemade goods, whatever they're selling, if you just buy something.
Buy something.
They ask you to buy something if there's something.
And where do y'all
If
do
it's a
that? Are y'all
dairy-
doing that now?
Yeah,
Like,
we
where
do
you-
that now at the grill shop and the RV
Yeah,
storage.
we're a member of Harvest Toast at our place.
Right.
And so
So
now
people
we have
come
a
and
lot of-
stay and-
we are a place.
Host.
Yeah, we're a host.
Okay, so that's what we got to get to. So what made you?
So that
up with-
trip is what got us interested in the whole
In our
RV life.
in the
Yeah.
RV life,
And we
learned a lot.
And I wanted to do an RV storage. It was 2007.
Okay.
The neighborhood next door, Harvest, was supposed to have started. And I'd spent a lot of money on engineering and getting it all figured out.
On your land?
Yes, like 150, 200,000. I was in that deep. And when they announced that, it was like 2008, and I think about it, the economy's south, the world's gone to shit.
It's not. I mean, the real
That-
estate
Right,
sucked.
So
I
that-
lost my ass.
That neighborhood was 2 years behind.
Dang.
So we just parked the ideal. And I said, I got to go back to work.